Hi there, my name's Vince from mymatevince.com, and in this video today it's a revisit on the Nintendo Switch Lite backlight that had failed. So just a quick recap, I bought this off eBay. You could hear the sounds and everything, move your way around, do the touchscreen like this, and you could hear it all working, but you couldn't see anything because the backlight had gone. Now you can't dock this one because it's a Switch Lite, so essentially it is useless. So I did a lot of fault finding. It turns out there was a short on the backlight circuit. It turned out the little connector, which is now gone, was burnt. So basically when I removed the connector, the short went. As well as that, there was a little item here that I thought was a coil or an inductor, and that was open as well, so that was faulty. So I ended the video saying that if I could get an inductor and a ribbon cable connector, then this would be working again. The problem is the Nintendo Switch Lite is still a very new console, so you can't really get much spares for it at all. I still can't find out the ribbon cable connector online. But I was looking at the comments like I always do when I finish a video. Now, just because I don't reply to the comments, it's got to the stage now where I have so many videos, it's getting impossible to actually reply to all the comments. But please keep making them, because I promise you I do read them. Reading them doesn't take that long. It's just I was spending near enough a day a week replying to comments, because it takes time for me to type out and, you know, kind of think what sounds right and reword things. It doesn't flow. You know, some people can just go tappity tap and it flows. With me, it takes me 5 minutes to do a 2-line response. But I promise you I do read them, so please don't stop them, because that's how I do my learning, and also how other people do their learning as well. You're not just helping me, you're helping other people out by doing these comments. So John Wilkinson, he said, if you have any new 2DS XL broken boards, I'm sure the coils or inductors are similar in size. And I thought, perfect, well I do. I had a job lot of these and they all had a faulty top screen. So I was looking at the board, and sure enough, there's loads of what looks like inductors around the place. And I was looking around, seeing if there was anything that was the same size, and then my eyes came to this connector here. This is for the front-facing camera. And sure enough, this connector is exactly the same connector that goes on here. So basically, it goes from links this ribbon cable here to this board here. So I've looked at it under the microscope. It's got the same amount of pins top and bottom, and basically that link cable fits perfectly in here, so the pitch and everything looks identical. So as far as I'm concerned, I could be wrong, but I think that that cable there is exactly the same one. So hopefully if I heat that up from underneath, I'll be able to remove that and get that back on here. So now the only thing we have to worry about is the inductor. So basically with the inductor, what I did is I've got a working switch here. I took the inductor off this working switch. The problem is it looks completely different. So this is the one here, and yet the one that I took off is this one here. So if you look at the old one, it looks like that, and this is the new one here. So this is the actual one from here, because I found an inductor on this switch board here. So sorry, I'm probably losing everybody here. This one here is from the grey one, and I thought it was an inductor. Yet when I measured this one here, which came off here, it's actually showing up as a resistor. So now I don't know if it's a resistor or an inductor. But anyway, what I did is I had a look through all my donor boards of my Nintendo Switch. And if you have a look, this is from the Rage bent one. Do you remember this one? If you have a look at this whole circuit here, doesn't that look very familiar to the backlight circuit here? All looks very familiar. We have that chip with the 9 balls on the BGA, we have a diode, we have a resistor and inductor, a couple of other capacitors. All looks very, very similar. So I'm wondering if this section here on the Nintendo Switch actually deals with the backlight. It is possible, it's not that far away, it's only there to there. So I was looking around the Nintendo Switch board, and I was taking off ones of these until I got one that measured the same. Now this is interesting. When I took off this one here, I put it on my little tester down here, because again, I was told in the comments that this will also measure, this little component tester will also measure inductors. Now check this out. I've got an inductor in here at the moment, and sure enough, it does say inductor, and it comes up with 43 microhenries. So then I thought, okay, well let's actually measure the one that I've taken off the switch, the working Switch Lite. So if we go to here, it's a bit hard to do. Put a little bit of pressure on it there, see if that gets a reading. It might take me a few attempts. Whoops. There you go, resistor, 0.5 ohms. So all I did was kept looking at the Nintendo Switch board until I got a resistor which was 0.5 ohms. And sure enough, it was this one here. So I actually took it off this board here. Yeah. So now with that one, I put it back onto my Nintendo Switch, and it is working absolutely fine. So this is the one I took off here, and I put the one from the switchboard onto here, and check it out. It's working fine, and the brightness and everything works just like it should do. So if you bring it down there, it's all working perfectly. So my meter is showing that as a 0.5 ohm resistor, which really confused me because everybody said it was going to be an inductor because it's part of the boost circuit. So what I did is I thought, well, what am I going to do? So I rang up my friend Gadget UK 164, and then I said I'd only keep him for 5 minutes. I ended up keeping him for about an hour and a half, and he was doing his best to explain to me what inductors do and this, that and the other. Now obviously we don't know. When I say we, I mean me and Chris. Now apologies, I'm kind of laughing at this because the thing is, he's told me what's what, but by me relaying it to you, I'm probably going to end up calling things like a resistor, a capacitor and everything else. So if I get it completely wrong, don't blame Chris for that. That's Gadget UK, blame me. But basically, what he thinks it might be is, he thinks that maybe this here is actually a resistor. So there's two things. Maybe this meter here doesn't show up something as small as this when it comes to the Henry. So if this was like tiny, maybe this would just think it's a resistor. But let's say if this is correct and it is a resistor instead of an inductor, then what he said is maybe that this one here is a shunt resistor, which will monitor the current for the backlight. In which case then maybe it is just a resistor, because if you have a look at the switchboard itself, it's got these things absolutely everywhere. All over it is these things. Around most of the chips you will have these things, yeah? So would you have that many inductors on a normal switchboard? Probably unlikely. Wouldn't it be more likely that they are resistors? So I'm now thinking that maybe that is just a 0.5 ohm resistor instead of an inductor. So this is what I'm going to do in this video. I am going to take the connector off here, and I'm going to put it on here, and I'm going to put that 0.5 ohm resistor, which came from here, onto here. And then let's see then if this board comes alive with the backlight working. But yeah, either way, I think it's really interesting. Now, I have mentioned Chris numerous times on my channel before, but I think that was quite a long time ago. If you haven't already subscribed to Gadget UK 164, I will leave a link down in the description. He really knows his stuff, and if you're into anything retro, check out his channel. In fact, most videos that I do, if I struggle and I look back, or sometimes even after the video, I will look back and then I'll be like, oh, Chris has done a video on that. And then sometimes I will do a revisit video because I've then watched his video. It happened on a PSP. He's done videos on so many things. And right now he's at, I think he's at 19,500 subscribers, 19.5. So wouldn't it be nice to get him up to 20,000 subscribers? So there's only 500 subscribers. So if you haven't already subscribed, I know loads of you have, but if you haven't, if you may be new to my channel in the last 6 months or something, please check him out. And if you like what you see, do subscribe to him, and let's try to get him up to 20,000 subscribers in the next couple of days. That would be nice. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Let's do that, and let's see what happens with this board. Let's start with this resistor. I'm just going to put a bit of solder on the pads. And I'm going to add a bit of flux to that. Now with this, it doesn't matter which way around it goes. Now it's all a bit raised and stuff because remember I've just put solder on the pads. Let's heat it up using some hot air, and hopefully that will pull into place. Right, so that's melted now. And I'm just going to clean this bit up with IPA, and then I'll have to worry about the connector. So now I'm going to get myself set up. So I'm going to put this board up high. So let's just take this one out. We're going to add heat underneath it and then try to take this off, and hopefully we won't burn it too much. Slightly worried that it's at the very edge here, so maybe the heat might come up and burn this clip. In fact, I'll probably put the clip up like that. Let's give it a go. Another couple of things that I forgot to mention before as well. You might remember that on the first video on this capacitor here I had 17 volts, yet at the end when nothing was connected I only had 3.3 volts. Well, Anonymous Repair, that's another YouTuber, he basically said that you're only going to get 17 volts when the backlight is connected, as it is current controlled. So that's interesting. I thought that 17 volts would have been there all the time, but it needs to see the backlight in order to put 17 volts through it. And also another person commented, called Unimportant, that this area here is a boost converter. So then I googled and looked up some videos on YouTube about boost converters, and it is quite interesting how they work. I mean, I don't know how it works in this instance here, if this is not an inductor. So when I was speaking to this about Chris, that's Gadget UK, he said that perhaps it might be this little chip which is doing the job. So I did actually think this in the last one, that this chip is the thing that's responsible for giving the 17 volts. So maybe 3.3, 3.7 volts is coming into it, and maybe this is the thing that's converting it to 17 volts. Not too sure. It's certainly interesting anyway. Right, let's get this connector off. Right, so there's flux now around that little connector. Let's zoom in a bit. I'm going to be using heat underneath it, you see? Yeah, underneath there. Let's zoom in. Well, I'm going to put my air up to, what shall I do? I think I'll do 6 out of 8, and I've got the temperature at 480 degrees. Let's see what happens. So I'm just going to move it round a little bit to begin with, and then I'll kind of focus on the bit. Right, I can see the flux all starting to bubble. There we go. Excellent. Right, so that's it off now. I think it came off quite cleanly. So now I have to get my board set up on here, and we'll try to pop it back on. So you can see the connectors just here. I'll worry about cleaning that up afterwards, but it looks quite intact. I've already tinned the pads earlier on. What's slightly worrying is that there's quite a bit of solder on some of those pads there. Not sure if that's going to cause a problem or not. I think I'm going to go for it, and if it looks wrong I'll have to take it off and try it again. So I've got to have the flap facing down this way. So I'm just going to line this up properly, and then, in fact, let's put some flux on it to begin with. Now, I don't think I've done one of these before. Just going to get it lined up perfectly. Okay, I think that's it. So let's see how this one goes. I'm going to zoom right in for this. So I'm going to do the same thing again, heating it from underneath. Right, okay, so it jumped there. Right, I think I'm going to leave it at that. I think the solder went shiny, but I don't know if it's in the right position or not. I'm just going to look for the eye loop. I think it's on. I don't know how straight it is. This lid now looks a little bit bent, doesn't it? But we'll see. I'll clean it up with some IPA once it's cooled down, and then I'll have a close look at it. It's all cleaned up now, and I've actually looked through my microscope, and it doesn't look too bad. So you can see all the pins there. That side is good. This side isn't so good. You can see it goes off, up, higher on this side here. But all the pins do look to be soldered, and they are on the pads, so I think it might be okay. And if I close it, the lid does look like it's working. So I've given it a bit of a clean. I don't want to go crazy on it. I might have to give it more of a clean, but I think we should pop this back in now, and let's see if we have anything. So let's get back into the switch, and then I'll start filming again as I'm about to turn on. Right, here goes. I haven't got the game card reader. There's numerous things I haven't got plugged in. Let's put this ribbon cable connector in, see if it's going to go in or not. Might be full of flux in here. Ooh, that doesn't want to go in very nice. Is that in? Not sure. Actually, yeah, that is actually all the way in. So now let's close the lid on there. Yeah, lid still closes. Right, let's put the battery in. Whew, is it going to work? Turn it on and see. Nothing's happening. Maybe I didn't hit it. Oh. No. Ah. Oh, I thought that was going to work. Right, let's see what voltage we have on this capacitor. Oh, I thought that was going to work. Disappointed with that. Looks like my connector's gone through though, because I've definitely got, it's the button movements are moving here. So there must be some life in that connector I did. Right, let's see now. We're on voltage here. Let's see what we got. 4.1 volts, not enough. 4.1, and if I go onto the cable here, what is it, third one along? 4.1. E. Right, so what is the matter with this, I wonder? What else is wrong with it? Well, I suppose what I can do now is I could just compare board to board now, and I could put them both on and I could test the voltages around here. Maybe that little chip's gone faulty. In which case, rather than risk damaging a good working Nintendo Switch, I could take a chip off here, because I don't know if it's the same. The reading on the top is different, but saying that, the reading on the top of these two are different as well. But they're both definitely 9-ball BGA chips. They've also got like a circle to indicate where the you know, which way round to put them. I'm not going to give up on it just yet. I'm disheartened with that. I really thought that might have made, I thought that might have fixed it. Oh well, it was worth a try. Let's keep working for a bit. I'll get back to this when I know what's going on. Right, so the voltages are testing different between the working one and the non-working one. Everything around here just seems to be testing 4.1 on this, while on the working one, a lot of it is 3.7, but then where the capacitors are up here and down here, it's measuring 17 point whatever it was, 17.1. So what I've done is, because I think that maybe this chip might be the one that's responsible for boosting up the voltage, I've actually taken it off the Rage Nintendo Switch. This is not a Nintendo Switch Lite, this is a Nintendo Switch. I'm still amazed that it was managed to be bent that much. I've taken it off that one there because it just looks, although there's different markings, it just looks to be the same chip. So I'm thinking if this is the backlight on the Switch, then hopefully it might be the same going on here. I mean, the Switch might be a completely different voltage and this might ruin it completely. But I'm thinking that, I don't know, I'm thinking they're going to be pretty similar. Right, so let's turn it on and see what's happening. So I've got the screen connected, that connected, battery's in. Let's see if this makes any difference. Nope. I don't know what else to do. So I've changed that chip over, that hasn't made any difference at all. Let's get another voltage reader now, see if it's any different. Also, this was really sticky, getting in and out because of all the flux, so I flooded it in IPA and I kept moving it in and out. This is moving in and out really freely now, so I don't think it's the fact that the flux is stopping it from making a connection. Oh, I think I'm going to have to give up on this. I thought, I mean, I wouldn't have done a revisit if I didn't think I was going to get it working, but don't know where else to take it now. Yeah, 4 volts. 4 volts. See, that chip up there should be reading 17. What's interesting is on this diode, this side's reading 4 volts and this side's reading 4 volts, while on the other one it's reading 3.7 here and 17 here. But saying that, that's just because this side here isn't getting it's not getting boosted up to 17 volts. Yeah. Well, I spent another little bit of time on it, but unfortunately I think this is going to be another failed one. It might have to be a revisit as more knowledge is learnt on this Nintendo Switch Lite. Oh, I don't believe it. Look at it. Look at it. I've done it. I have done it! Yes! Oh, that was an epic. Oh, wow. Right, okay. Oh, I have changed that chip over. You can see I've got one here, I've got one here. I've changed that chip over about 3 or 4 or 5 times. Basically, I just don't have any luck with BGA chips at all, because the problem is under that tiny chip here, that tiny, look how small it is, there's 9 solder balls. Yeah, and what happens is if one of those don't make the connection, then it doesn't work. So 100% the problem here was that chip. So let's recap. The backlight didn't work because there was numerous things burnt. This ribbon cable, this connector up here, they all had to be cleaned up, and this connector needed to be changed over. And then, whoops, and then it also blew this resistor, let's call it, and also this chip wasn't working properly either. So I've lost track of where I am with the chips, but I think that it was probably a replacement from the Nintendo Switch. So this really makes me think now that this section here is for the backlight. So that's brilliant. So it looks like it's interchangeable, but I can't say 100% because I've been taking chips off and on willy-nilly. You know, I was doing it in a certain process, but then, you know, when you lose hope and you just keep changing things over, and now I've lost where I am. But look, we finally got it working. Aeroplane mode's on. Okay. Let's take off aeroplane mode. Flight mode, there we go. Oh wow, what a success. I was wondering there, you know, like I wanted to release the video because there was still information about, for example, the ribbon cable connector on the 2DS and stuff, but I knew that if I released it and I failed again, I knew I'd get grief in the comments, but I'm so happy with that. Look at it. Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, let's see if there's any games on here which are, so that's a card game, no good. Fortnite you can get anyway, Minecraft card game, Splatoon card game, yeah. So there's no actual games on the memory itself. Oh, what a result. I'm so pleased with that. So pleased. So now, if I have a problem with a backlight in the future, I think I will know a lot more about it. I would be tempted to actually buy a Nintendo Switch with a bad backlight, because then I think I know a lot more about it now, and because I've learnt about it, hopefully you have too. So just to just to show you, that was the tiny little chip that was causing me all the headaches. So this must be the thing that converts it from 3.7 all the way up to 17. And now let's just double check with my meter that we are definitely getting 17 volts. And what we'll do is we'll dim the screen and see if 17 volts is coming through then. Right, so let's just face that out of the way so you can... There we go, we can see that now. Right, so on this side of the capacitor, we now have 16. No, we haven't. Hold on, have I just ruined it? Oh, for God's sake. Right, let's turn it off and on again. Yes, it's back again. Oh, should I risk measuring it again? Let me be more careful this time. I don't want to blow it after all this hard work. Right, so let's go there, and this side of the capacitor, 16.4 volts. Okay, now let's lower it down. Oh, we're not up full. Let's lower it right down now. So up full it must read 17. 15.4. So even when it's low, it's still reading all the way up to 15.4. Now let's put it all the way up. Right, now let's see if it's reading 17. Got worried there for a moment that I mucked it up. 17.1. So there you go. Do you know what would have happened? I reckon my probe slipped and went down and shorted between that side of the capacitor and probably ground, and that's what threw out the backlight again. What a result! So that's it all working now. My son's just playing a little bit of Zelda, and that's actual game cartridge, so the game card reader's working fine. So I'm so glad I persevered on that chip. I know it didn't come across in the video because I wasn't filming. You only seen it when it started to work, but I must have changed that chip over about 5 times, adding bits of solder and then cleaning it, adding more bits of solder, and that's why I'm so relieved when it finally worked, because up until then I thought it was the chip, but I don't really know. So I'm so glad I persevered with it. And big thanks to everybody who left comments in the first video, because that's what makes these revisit videos possible, when I get comments letting me know what's what. And massive thanks to Gadget UK 164 for helping me out on the phone earlier. So that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe for more Trying to Fix videos. Take care and stay safe. Bye now.